Hello everyone. Happy Wednesday. So I put up a story yesterday that a lot of people responded to, and I realized there's a discussion to have here. The energy is so intense right now, and there are very tangible ways that this is showing up in people's lives. So I want to share about what's been coming through to me from my guides, what I'm experiencing in both my personal experience, but also what I'm hearing from my community, from my clients. I've had many people reach out about the energy right now. So I actually made some notes because I really want to cover some stuff here. I think it's going to be so helpful in letting you know that you're not alone in the experience right now. And also maybe this will give you some ideas about how to move through this kind of tumultuous, tricky time. So first of all, one of the big ways that this energy is showing up right now is physical discomfort and physical issues that maybe you felt were fully resolved or that you haven't experienced in a long time. Those physical issues for many people right now are coming back up in some way. Aches and pains, autoimmune stuff, having flare-ups, even old injuries, maybe starting to bother you again, this type of thing. Gastrointestinal issues flaring up. I've heard of a variety of symptoms coming up for people right now, and I've been experiencing really extreme lower back pain, which is something that I used to get pretty regularly and haven't in, I think it's been 4 years since the last time this came up. So it's really something I haven't thought about in a long time. And I've had lots of clients reach out and say they're having similar experiences. I've talked with friends who are having similar experiences. It's going around. So that's one way that this energy is showing up. Another way is big tower moments. So big external pressures. That's a good way to put it. Big external pressures. So a tower moment, tower is a card in the tarot that depicts a big tower being hit by lightning and the tower is falling down. So in our lives, a tower moment is something usually shocking, surprising, out of the blue that causes something in our life to break down, to go away, to shatter. And I'm not sharing this to scare anyone. I don't want to scare you. And what I would also like to mention with these tower moments is that tower moments can be challenging, usually are challenging and painful, and they make room for the new. And we are in a very, very powerful death and rebirth. There's always a rebirth, but a death moment right now, energetically. And this is part of why all of these physical symptoms are coming up. It's like an extinction burst of these symptoms, of the things that do not serve us. I've talked about an extinction burst before in way past real, but I'll just quickly explain. An extinction burst is something that comes from my animal training days. It's a term that we used in animal training. And I'm sure they use it in psychology as well. My psychology background is with animals. So essentially what it means is when you are training a behavior to go away in an animal. So say you're training a dog to stop barking at the front door. Right before the behavior is extinguished, right before that behavior goes away, and the dog finally does stop barking at the front door, there will be a period of time where there is an extinction burst of the behavior, and the dog will bark at the front door like crazy all day. And it's always a moment where people are afraid, like, oh no, the training didn't work at all. Now he's behaving much worse. Okay, so taking the extinction burst idea back to what is going on energetically right now. We are experiencing an extinction burst of a lot of this physical stuff. that has come up in our lives over the years, things that we maybe had mostly resolved, but we're going around the spiral one more time here to get one more look at these things. And I don't mean to imply that for everyone this will be the last time that these physical ailments come up. It's going to be one of the last big major times though, because, well, I'll keep going. I'll speak to that. So big tower moments where things might feel like they're falling apart, might be falling apart and moving out of your life, but knowing that these big tower moments, these things that are going away, are making room for the new. They're making room for the rebirth that we're moving into as a collective, but that goes all the way down to our micro personal lives. And then the other way that this is coming up for people is chaotic energy, just feeling like feeling chaos around you, feeling like your personal life is in chaos, feeling like the external is very chaotic. So that's what I shared in my stories for the most part. And then after I made those stories last night, I checked in, I did a really deep check-in with my guides, and they shared a little bit more with me about what is going on. And this is sort of related to that extinction burst idea. But basically what they shared is that the physical 3D world, the external, is feeling extra heavy now because it is trying desperately to keep us believing that the physical 3D is all there is. This is a desperate attempt, and maybe that's not the right word because it's very, it makes it seem like one person is making this decision. That's certainly not the case. But essentially, the 3D illusion is trying very hard to make sure that we believe that it is all there is. It's trying to bring our attention back to the external, the 3D, and take our attention away from our inner experience, from the non-physical experience. And I do not mean to imply that there is anything wrong or bad about the 3D or about the 3D trying to keep us focused on the 3D. We exist on a spectrum, we exist on a polarized spectrum. And what has happened in recent times in human history, as all of us know, is we have become hyper-focused on the 3D part of reality. Our sciences, our systems, everything is very focused on the 3D piece of reality, which is one end of a spectrum, right? And then there's the completely non-3D piece, the non-physical piece. And it's like we've gone so far to one end of the spectrum, one end of the polarity. We are now, as a collective consciousness, moving back towards the non-physical. We're coming back into balance. As that happens, there are forces and energies on this end of the spectrum, the physical 3D end of the spectrum, who do not want that shift to take place. So there's a hanging on of the physical 3D reality, a wanting for us to stay very invested in the 3D. And so things are getting very heavy right now at this moment. And that's why a lot of us are feeling, it's one of the reasons. There's many, many factors that go into everything in reality. There are not simple answers to anything. Make that clear. But it's one of the reasons that many of us, are really feeling physical 3D discomfort in this moment, because our attention is really being pulled towards the 3D. And we have choices here. So I want to talk about how I personally am working with this in an example in my personal life right now. I've had a flare up of really debilitating lower back pain. Again, like I said, I haven't had this for 4 years. And so having received this message from my guides, understanding at least part of where this is coming from, here's how I'm dealing with it. So first, I'm looking at the emotional, spiritual reasons why I might be having pain in my lower sacral back area. And I am quickly approaching the death date, my mother's death date, which is coming right up. That also is just almost the exact day that I was diagnosed with cancer 3 years ago. So those are some emotional, spiritual things that it makes sense that I might have a flare-up of pain in my sacral area. That's the area where the mother wound is located. It's also the area where my cancer was located. So I'm looking at that. I've been sitting and doing some very, very deep, painful emotional releasing. Because often these types of physical flare-ups are distracting us, taking our attention away from our emotions. And I think that's part of the purpose of these flare-ups, for me, certainly. And then the other thing that I'm doing, having received that message last night from my guides, that like this is the 3D, really trying to hang on. So I made the decision today, okay, well, I am not going to invest too deeply in this 3D experience of pain that I'm having. And one way that I sent that message to my system, my energy, the universe, is I decided that I would just go about my day exactly as I would if I had no pain, which includes a 5-mile walk. And if you're, let's see, 5 miles, that's like 11 or 12 kilometers. If you're on kilometers, you don't know what miles are. I totally understand that. So yeah, I went on a very fast 5-mile walk. And when I first started, it was very difficult. I was hobbling. It was not easy to do. And by the end of the walk, I felt almost no pain. And my intention as I started out on the walk was, I am not going to give much credit to this heavy, dense physical pain experience that I'm having. I'm not going to give too much attention to it. I want to signal to my mind, to the universe, that I see what's happening, and I choose to be in balance between the physical 3D and the non-physical, rather than allowing the physical 3D to kind of pull me around, if that makes sense. So for me personally, this is what is helping. The big takeaway for you, anyone watching, I would encourage you to sit with whatever's coming up for you. And what I mean by that is put on some binaural beats and headphones, sit or lay down quietly with your eyes closed, and just allow yourself to feel whatever comes up. Allow yourself to receive whatever your system wants to tell you or share with you. Take some quiet time to sit with whatever's coming up, whether it is a tower moment, an emotional crisis, or maybe you're having a physical flare-up. Like, sit quietly and listen to what your body's telling you. Listen to what that pain may be connected to in your emotional, spiritual life. So, all right. I think I covered the big things I wanted to cover here, but I just wanted to do a bigger energy update because, again, I've received so many messages from clients, and then so many people messaged me after that story yesterday that I know that this is going to be helpful for many of you. All right, I'm sending you all so much love. My DMs are open if you want to chat about what's coming up for you. Yeah, I would love to. All right, everyone have a beautiful week.